One.
Sir, I'm the first squad leader of 1st Platoon, Charlie Company, and 1-5 Infantry, and my squad is tasked to attack to destroy Objective Phantom with the purpose of denying enemy influence on the battalion DO. For my task organization, first, I have an Alpha Team, which is the main effort with the task of attacking to destroy Objective Phantom with the purpose of denying enemy influence on the battalion DO and the key weapon system of the M249. Then I have a Bravo Team with that's a supporting effort. The exact same thing as Alpha Team, except their task is to fix enemy forces on Objective Phantom as a supporting effort. Then from the weapons squad, I have a machine gun team attached with me, which is also a supporting effort with the task of fixing the enemy on Objective Phantom, and they have the key weapon system of the M240 Bravo. Now I'm going to go over the AOI and the AO. The north limit of our AO is the 37th Northing. The south limit is the 31st Northing, or the 31st. And then the east limit is this the coastal mountains. The west limit being the Bainan River. And then the area of interest is bounded by the 37th and the 8th Northing, and the east, or the 32nd and the 10th Eastings. They have an attack helicopter asset with a 30-minute reaction time. And more importantly, they have indirect fire capabilities of howitzers. They have a battery of howitzers, as well as a mortar team. That the howitzers have a 10-minute response time, and the mortar has a 5-minute response time. And for reserve, they have a motorized platoon with a response time of 40 minutes, so that's not going to be as important as the IDF. Now I'm going to go over the GTAO and the terrain analysis. So for obstacles, there's a lot of restricted terrain, especially with the mountains and the mountainous environment. Another obstacle that's very restricted for us is the rivers that block the avenues of approach. So therefore, we're going to have to move around them. And so for avenues of approach, our first one is going to be dismounted, moving down this way between the river and the mountain, approaching the objective from the east. We have another avenue of approach, which includes mounted movement along the road over here, which we're not going to do because the enemy controls that, and we do not have transportation like that. And then the enemy has an avenue of approach coming from the bridge down the road onto the key terrain, and as well as from the south because they control the west and the south. And so for key terrain, mark these three down. The first key terrain is on Objective Phantom, and that is because it's an intersection, and when the enemy tries to respond to us attacking the team, they'll be canalized along this road that they're approaching us on, which will make them vulnerable to attack through our machine guns and our explosives. And I have this key terrain 2, which is the intersection west of our first key terrain, and that on that key terrain we have an enemy that controls that, and they are very likely to respond to us if we engage the enemy right here in key terrain 1. And then finally I have key terrain 3. That's where our first main avenue of approach is going from, because it has us easily set up a position on the high ground. Now I'm going to go over weather. So for visibility, it's already going to be daytime by the time we step off, and so that favors the enemy in terms of trying to spot us with their recon team. For the precipitation, it's 75%, which is a lot. So therefore, these rivers are going to be filled, which is an advantage for the enemy, restricting us to try and move around this this river. And then finally, for they have an 87% humidity and temperature ranging from 76 to 88 degrees. Therefore, it's going to be hot and humid, and we're going to have to water resupply fast. And we can water resupply on these rivers that will be filled because of the precipitation that I talked about before. Now I'm going to go over the enemy situation analysis. for the company level. So we have this platoon occupying the area right here, and with a squad conducting screening. And then we have air defense platoons right here, and then there's the mortar team. And for the platoon analysis, there's a squad tasked to disrupt, squad tasked to screen, along with the headquarters of the platoon tasked to occupy this area next to the bridge, and then a squad tasked to control this intersection right here. And then finally, and most importantly, we have this mortar team right here tasked to disrupt. This is the enemy sit type for our level that we're going to be facing. And so all of these squads up here we don't have to worry about because our avenue of approach, our main one, is not touched by any of these range fans. We do need to worry about this squad right here, which is the recon squad that has range over most of the area between us trying to approach the objective. And we have to worry about this squad because they have a high likelihood of responding to us if we approach or if we initiate contact with the mortar team right there. And the mortar team right here, they just have a mortar. This squad right here is your standard North Torbian squad, which includes the U.S. equivalent of an M2, U.S. equivalent of an M249, U.S. equivalent of an M110 sniper, the U.S. equivalent, two U.S. equivalents of an M320 grenade launcher, and the U.S. equivalent of an AT4 anti-tank. And then this recon squad has two of the U.S. equivalent of M110 sniper, along with the U.S. equivalent of the M249 light machine gun, which they span 1,000 meters for their ranges. A very high value target is pretty obvious. This mortar team right here, that's what we want to destroy. That will determine the success of our mission. I'm going to go over the enemy capabilities by warfighting function. First of all, for their intelligence, they have obsolete intelligence on our presence, disposition, and strength concerning our patrol base in the AO. And so their only way of knowing if we're there is if this recon team spots us, which they don't have a high likelihood of spotting us due to the mountainous terrain and the dense vegetation. For movement and maneuver, all of their squads have strikers attached to them, so they can easily go along these roads which they control. So the only squad that should really be able to respond quickly, though, is this one right here, because they're right next to it. And these squads are already going to be occupied with other stuff. And for fires, as I mentioned before, they have howitzers and they have a mortar. And so we need to prioritize stealth over speed during this operation because it would be very bad if we get detected and hit by IDF. And for the protection, I already mentioned their recon squad right here. That's their most important protection, because that's how they'll know if we're going there. Then they can respond with IDF or the squad they're expecting us at the objective. And then for sustainment, I said before, this squad is sustaining this team over here in the objective. The purpose of the enemy's operation is to disrupt USF into AO Ranin through the form of defense, and their main threat is indirect fire right here at the south. It's decisive because their indirect fire will influence our adjacent units' operations on the other units up north. Their end state is Key Train 1 and Key Train 2 secured, that they would have us detected in the AO and disrupted by indirect fire, minimal civilian casualties, and that we will be deterred from controlling the ground and the air. Their most dangerous course of action is that if we get spotted by this squad right here, and as I said before, we will get IDF or we will get this squad expecting us at the objective, which will make our mission way harder than it needs to be. So we do not want to get spotted. The mission statement 2 levels up of the company is that we disrupt enemy forces in Rwanda no later than 2200 August 24 in order to deny enemy influence on battalion DO. And the 1 level up intent for the platoon is that the mission statement is that our platoon disrupts enemy forces in Rwanda no later than 2200 August 24 in order to deny enemy influence on the battalion main effort. Our key tasks are to disrupt enemy, as a platoon, our key tasks are to disrupt enemy operations in depth, deny enemy uncontested use of high-speed avenues of approach, retain maximal combat power, and avoid decisive engagements. The end state is that the terrain is the primary MSRs in Rwanda are contested. The enemy forces in the zone are disrupted without accurate knowledge of platoon composition and disposition. Minimal civilian casualties and collateral damage due to infrastructure, and that the platoon is reconsolidated at the patrol base, at the friendly platoon, postured for follow-on offensive operations. Our adjacent units are these squads up here, and our mission is important because this mortar team can affect these guys' operations as well. I say again, my task is to attack to destroy Objective Phantom with the purpose of denying any influence on the battalion DO. Sir, this concludes my brief.